Bibles with you and you're following along. We're going to begin in Job, in the 14th chapter. You know, I was trying to study this week, and I studied a bunch of different things. The Lord just kept bringing me back to this. I couldn't understand why, and when they started testifying this morning, started talking about the lost, it just showed me once again how much more the Lord knows than what I do.
Bless him, Lord.
We'll begin in the first verse of the 14th chapter of Job, when it says, "Man that is born of a woman is a few days and full of trouble. He cometh forth like a flower and is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow and continueth not. And dost thou open thine eyes upon such an one, and bringeth me into judgment with thee? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Turn from him that he may rest till he shall accomplish as the hireling this day. For there is hope of a tree that will be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branch thereof will not cease. Lo, the root thereof wax old in the earth, and the stock thereof die in the ground. Yet through the scent of water it will bud and bring forth boughs like a plant. But man dieth and wasteth away. If a man giveth up the ghost, and where is he? As the waters fall from the sea, and the flood decayeth and drieth up. So man lieth down and riseth not, till the heavens be no more. They shall not awake, nor be raised out of their sleep. Oh, that thou wouldest hide me in the grave, that thou wouldest keep me secret until thy wrath be past. That thou wouldest appoint me a set time and remember me. If a man die, shall he live again? All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change comes." We'll stop right there. That's if there are mistakes in reading, that's the first 14 verses in the 14th chapter of Job. We see here he's talking about a man. You know, he says he has bounds that he cannot cross. You know, all mankind, we all know, man is one guarantee we have in this life is that we're going to die after a while. We will not overcome the death of this fleshly body. Every one of us is going to die. You know, you might think that you can extend your life. You might think that you can take supplements or whatever it may be. The Bible teaches us that you have bounds you cannot cross. And one day after a while, when that death angel comes knocking, you will have to answer. You can't ignore that call. You will answer that call. And your time on this earth will be over. And this old body is going to be laid down in the ground and return to the dust in which it comes. We have no power over death. It's going to come to resolve. It don't matter. There's no respecter of persons. It don't matter if you're rich, poor, what color your skin is. It does not matter. How old you are, that doesn't matter either. We've already mentioned when we was asking prayers for those that lost their lives, those young ones in Texas. It does not matter how old you are. That day of death is coming. You have bounds that you cannot cross, and we don't know when those bounds are for ourselves. You know, I think about over the book of Ecclesiastes. In that 8th chapter there, and it says, "Because to every purpose there is time and judgment. Therefore the misery of man is great upon him. For he knoweth not that it shall be, for who can tell him when it shall be? There is no man that hath power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither hath he power in the day of death, and there is no discharge in that war, neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it." We see we have no power in our day of death. When that day of death comes knocking, we're going to have to answer.
Right.
We're all going to answer that call. We're all going to face that day of death. And that body, this old body, this fleshly body, is going to turn to the ground, return to the dust in which it came, and that soul is going to go on. My question to you this morning is, where is your soul headed? You know, the Bible teaches us in the book of Luke of two men that died. We're going to turn to the 16th chapter here in the book of Luke, and we're gonna pick up and we'll just start in the 22nd verse. It said, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels unto Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torment, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. We see here, we're speaking of the rich man and Lazarus. You know, that rich man, he was clothed in purple and fine lining. He had a very wealthy life. But he had failed to be saved by the Lord's grace. He had failed to turn to God and pour his heart out to him and fully submit to the Lord. And it said in hell he lifted up his eyes. You know, there's only two places that the Bible mentions that your soul is going to go one day after a while. It's going to go either hell or heaven. There is no other option. There is no purgatory, as you hear some of the world talking about. And there's no second chances.
That's right.
As we read earlier, when this body lays down, it decayeth. And until it is resurrected, it's not going to be any second chances. And even then, it's not a second chance. That's already been decided.
That's right.
My question to you is, if you was to lay your life down today, if that death angel comes knocking to you, where would you head? Would you be like Lazarus and be carried into Abraham's bosom and have a heavenly home? Or are you going to be like the rich man, crying out in hell forever and ever, begging for salvation, but it's too late. It's too late for him, and if you died on your way home and didn't make it right for the Lord, it'll be too late for you.
Right.
You know, I don't know the hearts of anybody where you stand with God, but the Lord knows. And He's dealing with you. Call upon Him today.
Amen.
You know, I know where I'm going one day after a while. I know I'm headed home. As we mentioned a song in that song, a home not made of hands. That's where I'm headed. I'm headed to glory one day after a while, not because of anything I've done. I didn't work for that home. I didn't do a bunch of works to earn that home because I couldn't earn it. I was born into that home one Thursday night in the spring revival back there on that back road. And because of what the Lord done for me, if I die one day, if I die today when I'm going home, or to this home, my house, but I live in here for just a short time on this earth, don't worry about me because I have a better home waiting. Are you confident in what you have if you was to die today? If that death angel comes knocking, are you confident in what you have? Do you have a home up in glory? Or down in your heart, do you know that you're lost and you're hell bound? I can't look and tell you where you stand, but the Lord can, and He will let you know.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I think a lot of the world believes that you can't know that you're going to heaven, that you'll have to weigh it out one day after a while. That's not what the Bible teaches. You know, I think about in the 116th division of Psalms. When we turn here, and it's David's testimony that he's given here, and he says, the sorrows of death compassed me, and the pains of hell got a hold upon me. I found trouble and sorrow. Then called I upon the name of the Lord, O Lord, I beseech thee, deliver my soul. Gracious is the Lord, and righteous, yea, our God is merciful. The Lord preserveth the simple. I was brought low, and He helped me. Return unto thy rest, O my soul, for the Lord hath dealt bountifully with me. For thou hast delivered my soul from death, mine eyes from tears, and my feet from falling. I will walk before the Lord in the land of the living. We see here David's talking about a time when he found trouble and sorrow. A time when he knew he was separated from God. Nobody had to tell him that. You know, that Thursday night when I was born into that heavenly home, I just walked through those doors that night. It was different. I knew I was separated from God. Nobody had to tell me. I'd had people talking to me all week, and up till then I wasn't lost. But the moment I walked in the doors that night, I knew something was different. I knew I was separated. Nobody had to tell me that. Nobody can tell you that. It's between you and the Lord. And it goes on, he said, you know, the sorrows of death compassed me, the pains of hell got to hold him. He found trouble there. He found sorrow there. You know, I think about my own salvation that night. I was scared to death. I knew I was hell bound. And pain got hold of him. I was too scared to move. You know, this altar's a great place to be saved, but that's not where I got it that night. I got in that back row because I was too afraid to move. I was afraid if I got up, I'd step right off into hell. And I hope that dead pains of hell got a hold of you here today. You know, I don't want to scare you, but I want the Word of God to scare you.
Amen.
I want the truth to scare you. I want that conviction to set in upon you. And I want you to run to the Lord. And it goes on there and it says, you know, I found trouble and sorrow. And he's begging the Lord here, and it says, that next verse, it says, gracious is the Lord and righteous. You know, he went straight from begging, straight from being in a whole lot of trouble, to saying, gracious is the Lord.
Right.
Thanking him for what the Lord done for him. And I believe that's his testimony. I believe that's when the Lord saved him. You know, I think that night when the Lord saved me, I was in trouble, calling upon God, begging him. You know, I'd said everything I'd heard, all other testimonies that night had given. And I asked God, I said, Lord, just have mercy on me. And he did. And it wasn't the words I said, it's just the fact that I have fully submitted. Fully trusted and fully submitted unto him, he saved my soul. You know, the Bible teaches us that he is no respecter of persons. He will save your soul, just like he saved mine and everybody else that's ever been saved. The moment you put that trust and that belief in him, that you fully submit unto him, he will save you. Then you can have that heavenly home. Because as of right now, if you're here and lost, you don't have a heavenly home. As the sister mentioned earlier, you have a home that you're in hell, that you're bound for. And your only hope is not anything you can do, it's not anything I can do. Nothing anybody in this amen or a women corner can do.
Amen.
Your only hope is in the Lord.
Right.
That's the only hope, but he will save you.
Yes.
But you have to go to him. You can't go to anywhere else. You can't go to yourself. Because you can't do it yourself. All you can do is turn it over and let the Lord take care of it. And it goes on down there and it says, I will walk before the Lord in the land of the living.
Amen.
You know, it doesn't seem like David here had any doubt where he was headed. He didn't think he was going to have to one day balance his good and bad. He was banking on what the Lord done for him earlier in that chapter. You know, if I had to balance out the good and bad, I'd be straight to hell where I'd go. And every one of us is.
Yeah.
You know, the Bible teaches us that we all men come short of the glory of God. We all sin.
Amen.
You're not going to live a good enough life down here to get into heaven. The only way that you're going to get into heaven is through the Lord, calling upon him. And if you're lost, if you can feel that drawing power, him drawing into you, go to him, call out upon him. You know, this altar's open. You don't have to wait till I get done.
Right.
Or you pray in your seat, whatever, but this altar's a great place.
Right.
If you know you're lost, come to it. If he's dealing with you without it at all. I've heard many testimonies said they come to the altar, they do as lost. They wasn't in that great of trouble when they came, but they found trouble up here.
Yeah.
And if you're here lost, come up here. Don't put it off.
That's right.
He'll save you. That way you can have a heavenly home. You can be confident in where you're going. You know, like we said earlier, the world today will teach you, will try to tell you that you can't know. You know, I think about that, the thief that was hanging beside the Lord there in the 23rd chapter of Luke. We'll pick up in the 39th verse, and he said, and one of the malefactors which was hanged railed on him, saying, if thou be Christ, save thyself and us. But the other answered and rebuked him, saying, dost not thou fear God, seeing thou art in the same condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds. But this man hath done nothing amiss. And he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. And Jesus said unto him, verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise.
Amen.
Was there, he told him, he said, thou will be with me in paradise. You know, that man, he was a thief. He was hanging there on the cross. If you was to look at his works, we know that he was sinful.
Yeah.
Because his body is sinful. We were both conceived in sin, the Bible teaches us. We are of the seed of Adam. This sin, this body is going to sin.
That's right.
We can't live a good enough life. And that thief there didn't live a good enough life, but he went to the one that could help him. He looked over there, and the Lord is hanging right beside him. He asked the Lord to remember him. If you're lost, you're going to have to go to the Lord.
Yeah.
None of us can help you. You know, I think about over in the book of Mark. In the 10th chapter, we're going to turn to the 46th verse. It said, and they came to Jericho, and as he went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great number of people, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the highway side begging. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. And many charged him that he should hold his peace, but he cried more a great deal, thou son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called, and they called the blind man, saying unto him, Be of good comfort, rise, he calleth thee. And he, casting away his garment, rose and came to Jesus. And Jesus answered and said unto him, What wilt thou that I should do unto thee? The blind man said unto him, Lord, that I might receive my sight. And Jesus said unto him, Go thy way, thy faith hath made thee whole. And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus in this way. We see here blind Bartimaeus. He heard the Lord was coming. He heard he was going to be near. He started calling out. You know, I can tell you from what I've been able to feel this morning through the testimonies and the talks that's been made, and what I feel right now is the Lord is near.
Yeah.
If you're here and lost, He is near to you. He's ready to save you. My advice would be to do what Bartimaeus done there.
Yeah.
He started calling out to him. Everybody around him started saying, No, be quiet down, quiet down. You know, you're making a scene. Or you don't worry about any of that. He didn't worry about anything. He said he called out louder. And the Lord heard him calling. If you're calling to the Lord today, He'll hear you calling. And He will answer. He can give you that peace if you go and trust Him, put all your trust in Him. And you can have that heavenly home that we've sung about this morning.
Yeah.
You can escape those pains of hell. You can escape the fires of hell that you're bound for right now.
Right.
But you have to fully trust in Him, completely submit yourself unto Him. He's ready with open arms. He wants to save you.
Right.
The Bible teaches us He wants to save you, but you have to take the opportunity.
Yeah.
If you sit back there and say, I'll put it off to tomorrow, there might not be no tomorrow. As we already mentioned this morning, that death is coming upon us. I don't know when it's going to be, but I know one thing. I'm closer now than I was when I got up here this morning. And you're closer than you was when you got up this morning. And I can almost guarantee you it's going to be sooner than we all expect.
Right. Amen.
It's coming after us. Seek Him while He may be found. You know, I think about over in Isaiah. In the 55th chapter of Isaiah, it says, Seek ye the Lord while He may be found. Call you upon Him while He is near. And let the wicked forsake his way, and unrighteous man his faults, and let him return unto the Lord. And he will have mercy upon him, and to our God, for He will abundantly pardon. We see here He said, Seek Him while He may be found. You know, the sinners, He said He will abundantly pardon. Meaning that you are not guilty anymore. That sin will be done away with, that sin of unbelief. He will abundantly pardon you today.
Right.
If you put your trust in Him. But don't put it off. You don't know when your life will end. You don't know when that day of mercy, that door of mercy is going to be shut on you. You know, I think about over in James, and I believe it's the 4th chapter, it compares life to like a vapor.
Right.
It said it appeared for a little while and then it's gone.
Yeah.
We're not here for a very long time. You know, the future always seems way off. When we start looking at the past, you realize how quick it's all happened.
Amen.
It's going to creep up upon you. Death is creeping up upon you, and it's gaining. You can try to run from it as fast as you want to, but it's always gaining on you.
Right.
That thread of life is fraying. And one of these days it's going to break. And where will you fall? Where will your home be when you lay this life down? You know, I'm thankful for what the Lord done for me. I have a heavenly home.
Yeah.
And all these others that are here and been saved, they have a heavenly home.
Right.
to go to one day after a while. Do you have a home to go to today? And that's our message this morning. I'm sure we made a mess